வணக்கம் ஸ்டூடெண்ட்ஸ். இன்று நம்முடன் இருப்பவர் சோதி கணேஷ். இவர் வந்து யூனிவர்சிட்டி மலாயா பல்கலைக்கழக மருத்துவ 3ஆம் ஆண்டு மாணவர். இவர் கல்வியில் தலை சிறந்து விளங்கக்கூடிய மாணவர், நல்ல தலைமைத்துவம் உடையவர், நல்ல பொது உறவு, பப்ளிக் ரிலேஷன்ஸ் ரொம்ப சிறப்பான ஒரு மாணவர். இவர் வந்து இவர் முன்னாள் கிளந்தான் மெட்ரிகுலேஷன் மாணவர். ஸோ இவரோட அந்த தலைமைத்துவம், அந்த முயற்சி, அதாவது முடியாது, சிரமம், ஆனாலும் அவர் காலத்தில் முயற்சி பண்ணி நடத்தி காண்பித்தார். எப்படின்னா, இவர் வருஷத்துக்கு முன்பு நான் கிளந்தான் மெட்ரிகுலேஷனில் பேசுனதே இல்லை. நான் இருக்கிறது கோலம்பூர் பக்கம். கிளந்தான் மெட்ரிகுலேஷன் பேசுறதுனா கூட எங்கே இந்த மாணவர்களை அழைச்சி எப்படி பேசுறது, மற்ற மெட்ரிகுலேஷன்லாம் எனக்கு மூளைக்கு மூளை அந்தந்த வட்டாரத்தில் பெரிய பெரிய கோயில்கள் மூலம் ஏற்பாடு நடக்கும். அந்த வட்டாரத்தில் இருக்கிற மெட்ரிகுலேஷன் லெக்சரர்ஸ், இந்தியன் லெக்சரர்ஸும் அந்த பெரிய கோயிலெலாம் ஏற்பாடு செஞ்சு என்னை அழைப்பாங்க. கிளந்தான் மெட்ரிகுலேஷன் நான் போய் பேசுனதே இல்லை. அப்போ நான் அந்த மாணவர்கள் அதில் ஒவ்வொரு மெட்ரிகுலேஷன்லையும் குறைஞ்சது பாதி மாணவர்கள் ஏற்கனவே எனது Form 5 காலத்தில், Form 4 காலத்தில் வந்து கேட்டவங்களா இருப்பாங்க. அந்த அடிப்படையில் அந்த மாணவர் தலைவர் கணேஷ் சோதின்னு கேள்விப்பட்டு அவரை தொடர்பு கொண்டு சிரமம், அனுமதி கிடைக்கும் சிரமம், அதேமாரி அனுமதி வாங்கி அவ்வளோ பேர் 1 மணி நேரம் ஓட்டம். சோதி 1 மணி நேரம் ஓட்டங்களா உங்கள் இடத்துல இருந்து கோயிலுக்கு? 1 மணி நேரம் பஸ் ஏற்பாடு செய்து அவ்வளோ மாணவர்கள், 100க்கு மேற்பட்ட மாணவர்களுக்கு பாதுகாப்பாக கொண்டு போய் சேர்த்த தலைமைத்துவம் ரொம்ப. அது மட்டும் இல்லாமல் SPM காலத்திலேருந்து மெட்ரிகுலேஷன் காலத்திலேருந்து இன்றைக்கு வரைக்கும் படிப்பில் ரொம்ப தலை சிறந்து விளங்கக்கூடிய மாணவர். மெட்ரிகுலேஷன்லையும் 4 ஃப்ளைட் போட்டவர். கிளந்தான் மெட்ரிகுலேஷனில் யூனிவர்சிட்டி மலாயா விண்ணப்பம் செய்து மருத்துவத்துக்கு அங்கே உள்ள நேர்காணல் இன்டர்வியூலாம் முறையாக எதிர்கொண்டு இறைவன் செயல், அவரோட முயற்சி, மருத்துவம் பெற்று இப்போ 3ஆம் ஆண்டு முடித்து கொண்டிருக்கிறார். அவரை இன்றைக்கு நான் அழைத்தது காரணம், யூனிவர்சிட்டி மலாயா மெடிசன் கிடைக்கிறது ஒரு பெரிய ஒரு சிரமமான ஒரு சிக்கலான ஒரு பாதை. இருந்தாலும் நம்ம முயற்சி பண்ணதை நாங்கள் வேணும்னா 4 ஸ்லாட்ஸ் கொடுத்துருக்காங்க. அதில் ஒன்று யூனிவர்சிட்டி மலாயா போட்டு அதை விண்ணப்பம் செய்து வெற்றி அடையக்கூடிய மாணவர்கள் நிச்சயமாக இந்த வருஷமும் இருப்பாங்க, பல ஆண்டுகள் இருக்கிறாங்க. அப்போ கொஞ்சம் அனுபவசாலியை கூப்பிட்டு அவர் பேசினாக்க பெரிய பயனாக இருக்கும், இன்டர்வியூ அது பயனாக இருக்கும் அப்படின்னு தான் நான் இன்றைக்கு அவரை அழைச்சேன். ஓகே, அவரை பேச அழைக்கிறதுக்கு முன்னுக்கு நான் லேசாக இன்னும் கொஞ்சம் அவரோட இன்ட்ரோடக்ஷன் முறையாக சொன்னாக்க, இப்போ ஏற்கனவே மெட்ரிகுலேஷன் குரூப்பில் இல்லை, பயனாக இருக்கும் அப்படின்ட்டு வெறும் 3 ஸ்லைடு நான் மற்றவங்களுக்கு போட்டு காமிக்கிறேங்களே, எல்லாருக்கும் பயனாக இருக்கும். சோதி தெரியுதுங்களா இந்த படம்? தெரியுது. இதான் நான் சோதி கூட எடுத்த படம். இவர் தான் சோதி, பக்கத்துல நான். சோதி, இந்த படத்தை மறந்துட்டீங்களா? ஞாபகம் இருக்கா?
இருக்கு சார், போன்ல இருக்கு, நான் வச்சிருக்கேன்.
வச்சிருக்கீங்களா? அதேதான். ஓகே, இது கோத்தாபுரம் சிவன் கோயில்ல எடுத்த படம். பாருங்க, இதான் அந்த அவர் ஏற்பாடு செய்து கூட்டிகிட்டு வந்த 110 மாணவர்கள் கோத்தாபுரம் சிவன் கோயில்ல முறையாக நடந்தது 14/12/2018. பெரும்பாலும் அங்கே கோத்தாபுரம் மாணவர்களுக்கு எதுவும் ஒரு என்ன சொல்றது, ஒரு லேஜர் ஆக்டிவிட்டிஸ் ஒன்றும் இல்லை அப்படின்ட்டு இந்த டாக்குக்கு வரவங்க இந்த சோதி கூட்டி வந்த இந்த வருஷமும் சரி, அதுக்கு மறு வருஷமும் சரி, வரும்போதே திட்டம் போட்டு வருவாங்க. கோயில் பக்கத்திலே கோத்தாபுரம் மால், KB மால் இருக்கு, அதில் போயிட்டு கொஞ்சம் நல்லா ஒரு ரவுண்ட் அடிச்சு சுற்றி சந்தோஷமா சுற்றிட்டு அப்புறம் போவாங்க. ஸோ அப்படி ஏற்பாடு செய்தது. இது பார்த்தீங்கன்னாக்க அவரு சோதி நீங்கள் அனுப்பின லெட்டர் பாருங்க, என்ன வச்சிருக்கேன். நீங்க உங்களோட பொங்காராவுக்கு நீங்க எழுதி அனுமதி பெற்றது. இந்த மெட்ரிகுலேஷன் டாக்னு சொல்ல மாட்டோம், கோயிலுக்கு போறதாக சொல்லி வருவாங்க. கோயிலுக்கு போறதுக்கு அனுமதி கேட்டு உங்களுக்கு கிடைச்ச லெட்டர் கீழே பாருங்க, நீங்க கையெழுத்து போட்டிருக்கீங்க.
ஆமா சார்.
சரி, இது சின்ன அறிமுகம். சரி, நான் இந்த பிரசன்டேஷன் இவ்வளவுதான், ஒரு சோதி அறிமுகப்படுத்தணுங்கிறதுக்காக தான் செய்தேன். சோதி, இப்போ நீங்க ஆரம்பிங்க. அதாவது யூனிவர்சிட்டி மலாயா மெடிசன் இன்டர்வியூ பேச ஆரம்பிங்க. மெட்ரிகுலேஷன் மாணவர்கள் இடையில குறுக்கிட்டும் கேட்கலாம், அல்லது அவர் பேசி முடிஞ்சதே கேட்கலாம். சரியா? ஸோ ஸ்டூடெண்ட்ஸ் be free to ask any questions to Sothi. Okay, I will just leave it to Sothi. All right, carry on, Sothi.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much, sir. ரொம்ப நன்றி. Okay. So good evening to everyone. நான் இங்கிலீஷும் தமிழ் மிக்ஸ் பண்ணி பேசுறேன், பிரச்சனை இல்லை தானே எல்லாருக்கும்? So I think it's a bit more comfortable to talk about the interviews in English lah, since it's conducted in English. Okay. So sir சொல்லியிருந்தாரு, apart from the matriculation students, there are some SPM students here also, is it? Including parents, so aspiring to do medicine. So before I go to the interviews, I just talk a bit about medicine pathway in through public universities lah. Okay. So if right now நீங்க SPM செஞ்சுட்டு இருந்தீங்கன்னா, okay, let's say you're Form 5 now. Okay. So in SPM is important in the terms that UP நீங்க apply பண்ண போது நீங்க பாத்தீங்கன்னா ஷரட் ஹாஸ் அடியில வந்து SPM-க்கும் ஒரு criteria இருக்கும். You know. So for medicine, the core subjects will be your science subjects lah. So depending on which university you're targeting, அந்த யூனிவர்சிட்டிக்கு பொறுத்த இருக்கு அவங்களோட ஷரட் ஹாஸ் இருக்கும், அந்த கிரேட் lah. So if you're targeting UM, your ஷரட் ஹாஸ் for the SPM core subjects, I think the minimum requirement should be A minus. If you get below A minus, you can still apply for UM, but unlikely you will be accepted lah. Okay. So SPM say போது just pay attention to your core subjects a bit lah. Make sure you get A minus and above if you're targeting UM. And then for other universities offering medicine, for example, I think UKM, the minimum grade is B plus. And then other universities like USM, UPM, I think it's B lah, minimum grade. So SPM, make sure you don't slack lah. If you're targeting to do medicine through the public pathway, make sure do your best to get straight A's lah. That's the safest. Okay. Now straight A's kadicha, you have better chance at getting matriculation. Okay. And once you get matrix, just work hard in matrix and you'll be on your way to medicine in public universities lah. Okay. So that's for SPM students. அப்புறமேல ஏதாவது கேள்வி இருந்துச்சுன்னா just ask here lah, because I'm not really sure what other SPM students are looking for, you know, from this meeting. So I'll get to the matriculation students lah. If you all don't mind, உங்களோட கேமரா திறக்க முடியுமா? Feels a bit weird. Lecturer மாதிரி இருக்கு. Whoever is comfortable with turning on their cameras, just go ahead, turn on their cameras. I'll feel a bit more comfortable lah. Unless I feel I'm talking alone. Okay. Sorry, never mind. We'll get to the interviews lah. So I'm assuming those of you are here have already applied for UM, finished your PSP. I think PS Matrix or the semester முடிஞ்சிருச்சுனா semester 2. If I'm not mistaken, exam முடிஞ்சிருச்சுன்னு நினைக்கிறேன். So you all have finished and have received your interview offers, correct? Meaning உங்களுக்கு interview கிடைச்சிருச்சு. So you all here just to know how to prepare for your interviews, correct? Okay. So this year, if I'm not mistaken, UM's interview is going to be conducted face to face again. So என்னோட batch தான் கடைசியா face to face interview செஞ்சோம். அதுக்கப்புறம் the next 2 batch after me, all of them did online lah, through video submission. Okay. So என்ன கேட்டிங்கன்னா, I think face to face is better lah, in my opinion, because the selection process is more fair. When it's online submission, right, you have the freedom to re-record. So you can create a script, memorize the script and then re-record lah. So it's a bit unfair for other students lah in that sense. Okay. So face-to-face interview and in UM we call it MMI, multiple mini interviews. Okay. So it's not like your conventional interview where like you go into a room of 3 people, maybe ஒரு 3 பேர் இருப்பாங்க, then நீங்க அவங்க முன்னுக்கு உட்கார்ந்து they will just ask you questions. Not like that. Okay. In UM we apply the system called MMI. So basically it's just station based lah. Okay. So UM la வந்து 4 station இருக்கும். Station 1, 2, 3, 4, and then you go through the stations twice, meaning you'll make 2 cycles lah. So a total of 8 questions. Okay. 4 station, you go through it twice, there will be a total of 8 questions lah. Okay. And the thing about MMI is it's they won't be asking cliche questions like you know, like why you choose medicine, you know, like what's your strength, what's your weakness. They won't be asking things like that. In UM, their focus is more on assessing the way you think lah, your thought process. You understand? So the questions are the type of questions that will make you think, critical thinking questions like that. Okay. So later I'll share time la on the kelvi la நான் share பண்றேன். When you all have a look, I think you'll have a better understanding lah what kind of questions they ask. Bear in mind, it's not easy. It's really tough, the questions. So you really need to prepare hard lah. Okay. யார் இது பேக்ரவுண்ட்ல பேசுறா? Okay, right. Any questions so far? Any questions? No. Okay. If no, I think I'll get straight to the point. I'll share the type of questions in the chat. Just have a look. Chat தொறந்துக்கோங்கல்ல. There's a word limit. Wait. Okay. 8 questions, right? 1, 2. Okay. Can you all see in the chat? Guys. Okay, nice. Okay. So எல்லாரும் இப்போ chat பாருங்க. These are type of questions they'll ask you lah, okay? So என்னோட first station வந்து the question they asked me was computers only give us answers. What's your view on these statements? So what they're trying to look for here is the way you assess that statement lah. You cannot just give a direct answer like yes or no. Okay, because how the interview is carried out. Okay, 4 stations, right? 2 rounds. Each station you'll be given 6 minutes. Okay, 1 minute for you to prepare. Means once you arrive at the station, they'll give you 1 minute to look at the question and like just quickly like brainstorm for ideas lah. Okay, once that 1 minute is up, you have to answer for 5 minutes. Okay, அந்த 5 நிமிஷம் நீங்க continuous-ஆ பேசிட்டே இருக்கணும். That's the whole point. Okay, if you can't keep your response long enough, then it's going to look bad on you lah. Okay, so that's the reason why you cannot go straight to your answer. You cannot just be like, if then they ask you a question, you cannot just say yes or no lah. Okay, so there's a way to approach this question. Okay, so how you do that, how you prepare for that. Okay, this is how you prepare for that. Okay, I don't know when is the interview. I don't know how long you all have lah. Okay, but in what little time you all have, okay, I want you all to work on your thought process. Okay, work on structuring your response. Okay, try to come up with like a formula that you can use for any topic. Okay, the goal here is to be able to come up with a good response spontaneously, not to be prepared for a particular question they ask. Meaning, அவங்க என்ன கேள்வி கேட்டாலும் you have like a formula to answer that question. Okay, doesn't matter whether you know about the topic or you don't know about the topic, or whether or not you're prepared, you have like a prepared answer for the topic. You understand? So once you train yourself to think in that way, நீங்க spontaneous-ஆ பேசிக்கிட்டே இருக்கலாம். You know, one idea after another, you'll be able to continue and stuff like that. Okay, so by formula I mean like the structure of your response lah. Okay, so for example, maybe like when they ask you a question, you start off with like a definition maybe, or what you generally know about the topic. Okay, after listening your careful opinions about the pros and cons related to that topic, or like what's good and what's bad. Okay, then maybe you can talk about your past experience with that matter, or something that you read about it, or even make up a story spontaneously. You know, just make sure you're confident. You show them that you're able to hold a conversation and you can talk intellectually. Okay, so whatever it is, train yourself to relate the story to your conclusion if you run out of things to talk about. Okay, so start practicing with medicine related stuff first. Okay, if you all notice, one of the questions என்னோட டைம்ல this was pre-COVID era. At that time, the hot medicine topic was anti-vaxxers. Okay, even before COVID-19 vaccine was a thing, there was already this anti-vax problem lah. So if you all can see, I think the third question they asked, do you think parents should be allowed to decide whether their children should be vaccinated? Okay, so I can't remember the exact question, but it was like that lah. Okay, so you need to like answer why you think vaccination is necessary lah. Okay, and whether parents should be able to be like whether parents should be given a choice whether they want the vaccination or not. Okay, because right now, according to our ministry, our healthcare ministry, to enroll your children into primary school, you have to complete the national immunization program lah. You know, you're born, you get a full series of vaccination, right? Then you complete panirnata, you can enroll into primary school. So in the question asking here is, so these are like our topic of interest when it comes to medicine lah. Okay, And right now, உங்களோட ஏரால வந்து நீங்க யோசிச்சு பார்த்தீங்கன்னாக்கா, what's the hot topic? It's definitely COVID-19, right? COVID-19 is also getting a bit outdated already. It's more to monkeypox and transmissible diseases lah. Okay, so this is just an example. I'm not saying இதுதான் வரும்னு. When I say like practice with medicine related stuff, you think about things like this lah. Okay, so vaccinations, some diseases and stuff like that. And then another hot topic is the 4 pillar of medicines lah. You all go Google up and see what's the 4 pillar of medicines. Make sure you understand that concept lah. So they might ask you things like that also. And then another type of question they like to ask is moral questions, meaning like okay, moral questions. Inga பாருங்களேன். Question number 1, 2, 3, 4. Question number 5, see who should receive a kidney donation, a successful old timer or a young drug addict. So both of them need a kidney transplant, but you only have one kidney lah. So who you're going to give the kidney to? Okay, so of course there isn't like a direct answer. There isn't like a yes or no. It's not that type of question. You have to weigh and balance lah. So talk about the pros and cons if you're going to give the kidney to the old timer, and also pros and cons if you're going to give the kidney to the young drug addict. So these are type of questions they like to ask lah. So for your preparation, just Google up. Okay, Google up. You go to Google, just search questions for MMI. Okay, medical MMI ன்னு search பண்ணுங்க. There will be a lot of question banks lah. Okay, so just practice with the questions. I'm not saying அந்த மாதிரி question, the exact question will come out. The idea here is to train your thought process lah. Okay, so learn how to speak spontaneously. Okay, so what I'm trying to do here is to help teach you all to organize your thoughts process lah. Okay, so once you learn this, you'll be able to brainstorm quickly for ideas lah. Okay, and the 1 minute preparation time lah, you already have like a clear list of information you need and in what order. What are you going to talk about? How you're going to structure your answer? So on the 1 minute lah, when you can think clearly about this thing, you can definitely answer spontaneously lah throughout the 5 minutes. You don't have to worry about you're like, oh, I'm out of topic and stuff like that. How am I going to continue? You'll be able to come up with answers spontaneously. Hi.
Hi.
Okay, where was I? Okay, so yeah, and the preparation time like, you should be able to like come up with all this information that you need and in proper order lah. Okay, so that under 1 or 2 minutes அவங்க கொடுக்கிற preparation time, you don't waste it thinking about irrelevant stuff lah. Okay, so another thing is, if you keep practicing working your thought process like that, coming up with a formula, you'll learn how to stay calm. So என்ன டாபிக் கொடுத்தாலும் you'll know how to talk about it, even though like you don't have much information or like you're not expert in that topic, you'll be able to come up with an answer. Okay, so why I'm trying to ask you all to train your thought process instead of preparing for like particular questions, because the questions can be super random. Okay, இப்ப என்னோட பாருங்களேன், look at the last question from the first message. They asked me, what will happen if wheels were not invented in this world? ஸோ ரோடை இருக்குல்ல, ரோடை இல்லாத உலகம் எப்படி இருக்கும்னு கேட்டாங்க. ஸோ இந்த மாதிரி கேள்வி கேட்டால் டெய்லியும் நான் என்ன சொல்லுவேன்? ஸோ தட்ஸ் வை யூ நீட் டு பி ஏபிள் டு லைக் relate everything to a particular topic. You don't have to be an expert in the topic. I don't know anything about wheels, but I'm still able to like relate. Okay, so why in medical field, what is the importance of wheels when you think about it? What do wheels do actually? Wheels are like the most important, one of the most important part of our vehicles, correct? ரோடு இல்லாம அந்த வண்டி ஓடாது. ஓகே, என்ஜின் இருந்தா கூட ரோடு இல்லாம அது நவராது. ஓகேவா? And when it comes to medical field, what's the importance of vehicles? Definitely ambulance, right? Emergency medicine, stuff like that. So on the spot you'll be able to like, oh okay, I can talk about ambulance, like what will the world be like without ambulance? Emergency medicine is going to be very affected. People who need emergency care won't be able to reach hospitals on time, things like that. And another example is the second message. They asked, how does gaming help in the career of a doctor? They literally asked that. How does playing games help in the career of a doctor? Okay, so you have to be able to come up with answers lah. So for example, you can say like, if you play games, you like improve like your concentration and focus is like very heightened. So like for example, in the future scenario, let's say you're a surgeon, you need to operate on patients, you need a lot of focus and concentration. so that you don't make mistakes during the surgery and put the patient's life at risk and things like that. So you have to be able to like just relate things lah. And the 1 minute preparation time, like you already have an idea. Okay, they asked me about gaming, so what am I going to talk about? I'm going to talk about focus. How can I relate focus to medicine? Just structure your answer, and then from there you keep going. Okay, and then my personal last resort, meaning if I really run out of topics or things to say, okay, for the interview, I will usually make up a story. I'll make up a story, and then on the story I won't goreng, I'll talk intellectually lah. Okay, for example, second question there, they ask, do you think AI will eventually replace the job of doctors? So it was a very difficult question, and I kind of ran out of things to say. So when I ran out of things to say, I just made up a story lah. Yeah, I told them that I've watched this series, medical series where they use AI, they integrate AI into their robotic surgery, and I saw how AI like function in that surgery, and I feel that I just goreng lah. But it's something that I purely made up on the spot. So these are skills that you should have lah before you walk into the interview, because like I said, like MMI, they really want to see how you think, how you talk, and stuff like that, instead of conventional interviews. Certain universities, their interviews are very conventional. You go there, they'll ask you like, why you pick USM, why you pick medicine, what's your strength, what's your weakness. These kind of answers, these kind of questions, all you can come up with a prepared response already. நீங்க வீட்லயே like ஒரு ஸ்கிரிப்ட் எழுதி ஹஃபால் பண்ணிட்டு அங்க போயிட்டு உங்களோட வேலை வந்து just present it in a nice way, like speak confidently, loud and clear, but nothing is being made on the spot. You already like memorize your script. Okay, but in you can't really do that, because they don't ask you conventional cliche questions like that. Everything is on the spot. They want to see how you think and how you talk. Okay, then again, thought process and everything apart, another important aspect of interviews is your body language lah. Okay, even if you run out of things to say, even if you're very unsure and like you're very foreign to the topic that they give you, right? Okay, காட்டாதீங்க. Don't show it through your body language. Okay, if no matter who you're facing, just sit upright. Okay, look at them. Don't look down, don't look to the side, don't look to the left, don't like if you're nervous, even if your hand is shaking, don't show them. கையை கீழே வச்சுக்கோங்க. Don't like put up and then like you can see your hand like guitar like that. Okay, don't show them that you're nervous. Okay, try not to stutter, try not to answer prematurely, meaning like you have an idea, take your time, or 2-3 seconds gap எடுத்து think first what you're going to talk about. அந்த ஐடியா வந்துருச்சு, ஆனா நீ எப்படி உன்னோட சென்டென்ஸ் வந்து ஸ்ட்ரக்சர் பண்ண போறன்னு just take like 5 seconds like that to think before you start talking. Don't like எடுத்தனே ஐடியா வந்துருச்சுன்னு you mention the word and then you don't know how to continue, then you're like you take your time to like you jam, you stuck, you panic. All these they'll take note. Okay, the interviewers will take note. Okay, because they are not like random people. They are the doctors working in your lecturers, your future lecturers if you make it to okay, and they've been doing this interview for like many years already. Okay, so they know how to assess people based on your body language and all that. Okay, so body language is another important factor when it comes to interview. Okay, try to make yourself look presentable. சும்மா சொல்ல மாட்டாங்க, just like some people will say shave பண்ணு, stuff like that. Everything is a plus point. Make sure you make yourself look presentable, get a proper haircut. If you're a guy, just shave and look clean lah. Okay, wear neatly. If you have a blazer, wear a blazer, look professional a bit. Okay, for the ladies same also, just look presentable, look neat. Okay, all this will reflect on your body language lah. Okay, and the most important thing when it comes to body language is eye contact. Make sure you're always having eye contact. Just keep in mind you're talking to a person. Okay, even though they are your interviewer, they are also a person. Okay, so how to calm yourself down? Just assume that you're having a normal conversation with somebody, an intellectual conversation. You're talking to someone about a medical topic. Make it look like a natural conversation, not like you're answering to your interviewer. Purida, try to involve them in the conversation. Like when you give your opinion and stuff like that, just make gestures to them, like do you agree with me? Yeah, something like that. Try to involve them in the conversation, but not too much. Okay, because obviously you are answering to them. Okay, but this will show, when you do small gestures like this, it will show that you're not at all nervous, and you're like very comfortable having this conversation with them. You're like a very intellectual person, able to hold a proper conversation with them. Okay, because like you all saw lah, the topics are all not like silly topics. It's really very critical thinking kind of topics lah. Okay, so that's basically will this. Okay, that's basically how MMI interview is like lah. Okay, so format wise, I'm in the வருஷம் வந்து I know it's face to face again, definitely going to be MMI, but I don't know how many stations they'll have lah. Okay, most probably it's going to be the same, only 4 stations, 2 rounds, so total 8 questions. UM ல இருந்து rest station இருக்காது, so 8 stations, 8 questions lah. Okay, so and then like I think my time 5 minutes to answer, 1 minute to prepare lah, so 6 minutes. Okay, and then you have to rotate stations. Okay, so that's for format. And then right now for preparation, just train your thought process lah. Okay, there's no point like preparing for a certain question, creating scripts and stuff like that. Okay, if you want, definitely உங்களுக்கு மத்த யூனிவர்சிட்டி கிட்ட இருந்தும் இன்டர்வியூ கிடைச்சிருக்கும். So as part of preparation, you can definitely come up with a script or something lah. For what's that? Yeah, as part of preparation, you can definitely come up with a script lah for questions, cliche questions like why choose medicine, why you choose this university, something like that. So in the மாதிரி கேள்விலாம் வந்து you can definitely think of a prepared answer and go and just present your answer, talk to them like it's coming from you naturally. Okay, for cliche questions like that, right, try to, instead of giving cliche questions like, oh, medicine is my passion, ever since I was small I wanted to do medicine, அந்த மாதிரி சொல்றதுக்கு பதிலா it can be your passion, but just don't try not to like put it that way lah. It's very blunt. People ask you why you want to do medicine, you just say it's my passion. ஏன்னா 5 வயசுல வந்து திடீர்னு உனக்கு பேஷன் வந்துருச்சா, டாக்டர் ஆகணும், உயிர் காப்பாற்றணும் அந்த மாதிரின்னு, definitely something would have triggered you to like, would have inspired you, right? For example, like myself, I was asthmatic சின்ன வயசுல, so I was going in and out of the hospital frequently. So I will always spend a lot of time in the hospital lah. So I look at the way doctors work and all, and the pediatricians were very nice to me. So they sort of inspired me. They played a role in my aspiration to become a doctor. So when they ask you why you want to do medicine, you can talk about your original story like this. You know, so it feels original, it feels authentic, instead of just say like, oh, it's my passion. Why you want to do dentistry? It's my passion. Pallu pudukkurundhathu a passion. It's not believable, correct or not? So come up with an authentic answer lah when it comes to cliche questions like that. And then if for questions like why you pick this university and all that, right, this one you have to be prepared lah. So make sure you study, you do your research, study about the university. So studying as if like just know lah, like for example, what's the ranking of the university, who's the dean of the faculty, who's the chancellor of the university, what's the university's impact in the country, you know. Like for example, you all know DG Hisham, right? He is an alumni of UKM. So let's say you're attending a UKM interview and they ask you why you pick UKM, you can just say things like this lah. Okay, just be prepared in case. I think UKM, even though this year they're still doing video interview, I remember last year, என்னோட juniors நான் guide பண்ணும்போது, one of the questions was this lah. They asked why you want to do medicine in UKM. So part of your answer, you can include things like this lah. You can say things like this, like, you know, proud to be from a line of excellent alumni like DG Hisham who came from UKM, things like that. This will impress the interviewers, meaning like they know that you did your research. Show them that you're proactive lah. Okay. So that's for cliche questions and all. What else we all like to know?
Students may, okay, that question.
Yeah, just ask questions lah. Yeah.
Yes, students may, you know, just speak casually lah, அவர்கிட்ட பேசுங்க.
Any questions you all want to just ask, கேளுங்க, I'll answer, because I've run out of things to talk about also. Basically அவ்வளவுதான் interview, MMI interview. It all depends on your preparation lah, how well you're able to hold the conversation, your social skills and stuff like that. Part of preparation focus on that. So how you prepare, like for example, now I'll talk to my friends or to my brother. வீட்டில் இருந்த போது நான் ப்ரிப்பேர் பண்ண போது இந்த மாதிரி தான், I just talk to them randomly every day when I wake up. என்னோட கூகுள் இருக்குல்ல ஹேண்ட்ஃபோனில், you know, you go to Google, you can go to Google settings, preference இருக்கும். You can set your preference to choose like what kind of news to prioritize. நீங்க கூகுள் திறந்தானே, like the first thing that will come out is news, right? இந்த மாதிரி நீங்க திறந்தீங்கன்னா like all this is like news like that, right? Yeah, so you can set your preference. So நான் என்ன பண்ணேன்னா, at that time I just put everything like medical related stuff lah. So everything I நான் கூகுள் திறந்தேன்னா the first few news, everything will be medical related stuff, vaccination, breakthrough, new surgeries, breakthrough medicines, things like that lah. Okay. So that's part of preparation lah. Minor things you can set like that, and then every day, like, you know, when you wake up, just when you're free or when you're preparing for your interview, just open all this, look at the topics, read about it lah, enrich your knowledge a bit. So when you all read articles like this, you will know like அங்கங்க உங்களுக்கு சின்ன சின்ன விஷயம்லாம் தெரியும், and somehow when you all answering the question you can relate, you know. Like I told you all, the whole point is to be able to relate minor informations into the thought process. Okay, so you relate small things into how you can answer the medical related topic that they give you lah. Okay, so what else did I do? This body language பார்த்துக்கோங்க lah. So a few days before the interview, நான் வந்து just very cliche lah, just sit in front of the mirror, கண்ணாடி முன்னுக்கு உட்கார்ந்து just talk to yourself, make eye contact with yourself, and then at the same time just look at how your body posture is. Are you slouching or things like that? How's your hand movement all like? So just study yourself. Make sure like you know, like, okay, interviewல வந்து நான் இப்படி தான் உட்கார்ந்திருப்பேன். This is how I look like in front of the interviewer. I'm not, oh, okay, I'm not making eye contact. My hand is moving too much. I'm moving left, right, like that. இதெல்லாம் வந்து just practice lah. All this is like personal training. You all have to do yourself lah. Put in some effort. Any questions, guys? ஒரு கேள்வியும் இல்லையா? Anna, the interview will be done in BM or BI. It's UM la English. It's in English. In UKM, I think my time, the MMI interview, face-to-face interview in UKM, ரெண்டு stations வந்து BM question இருக்கும். There were 5 stations, 7 stations, 2 rest station, 5 has questions lah. 5 questionsல வந்து 3 questions English, 2 question வந்து BM. And then USM also same. USM also, I think out of 7 stations, 2 or 3 were BM lah. You have to talk in BM. Okay, and then USM had one extra station, written station. You have to write a response lah. Or a scenario கொடுப்பாங்க, you just need to write your response. So அந்த 5 or 6 minute நீங்க ஒரு ரெஸ்பான்ஸ் எழுதணும்ல. So I don't know if USM is doing face to face or video lah. Okay.
And then UM station just answering the questions or have to do other activities like writing or something else?
Just questions only. Yeah, just questions only. UM is just questions. UM got no writing. Or USM had group presentation. USM was the only university with group presentation. But in UM it's in English, don't worry.
அண்ணே, since வந்து UM வந்து கிளிஷேவான questions கேட்க மாட்டாங்கன்றனால நான் இப்ப வந்து அந்த யூனிவர்சிட்டியை பத்தி தேடி டைம் வேஸ்ட் பண்ண தேவையில்ல தானே? Like the information about the university and everything.
I mean, if you want to come to UM, definitely you have to have some interest, right? It's better to know lah. தெரிஞ்சு வச்சுக்கோங்க. Yeah, it's really better.
I mean, it's general info, but too deep dig பண்ண தேவையில்ல தானே?
Yeah, don't have to really go that deep lah. But again, like I told you, it's your skills lah. Okay, so if you all followed the COVID-19 pandemic like carefully, the top microbiologists who were involved in coming up with a treatment plan in the country, some of them, actually most of them, were from UM. They are my lecturers and professors from UM, and the main lab that our KKM used for COVID-19 studies was also in UM. So all these small things, when you know, let's say for example, they ask you about one of the questions they ask you is about like COVID-19 or like how well did, for example, they ask you how well did Malaysia handle this situation? Do you think it could have been good or better? அந்த மாதிரி கேள்வி உங்களை கேட்டாங்கன்னா, even about vaccination, they ask you questions like that. All these minor info that you know, right, you can relate back to this question, and you know when it's related to UM, sometimes you can impress the interviewers lah. So it's all your people skills. Every information is valuable. The more you know, the more you can talk about lah. The more things you have to relate back to your topic. Can be anything at all, as long as you know how to use that information. So yeah, I mean, it's better to know lah. Just know lah. Just know some general stuff about UM, Faculty of Medicine. For example, like the current dean of Faculty of Medicine, Prof. April, she is the president of the Colorectal Surgeon Society of Malaysia. She's like a big shot in Malaysia lah. So if you know all these names, you can impress the interviewers lah. Then again, look for the opportunity to show off all this information that you have. And the question, when the opportunity arises, just show them that you know this information lah. It's a plus point for you. Our previous dean before Prof. Camila was Prof. April was Prof. Adiba. Prof. Adiba was the first president of AIDS, I think AIDS Society of Southeast Asia. No, I think ASEAN. AJ, was it Asia?
What is it?
Prof. Adiba. She was the president of
World AIDS.
World AIDS. Yeah, not Asia, World AIDS. World AIDS organization. She was the president, you know. So yeah, all this information, if you know, right, when you get the opportunity to use this information, you show it off, you'll impress the interviewers. All this is like a plus point to you. You know, they'll be impressed with you, they'll be happy with you. So they'll give you more marks. You understand? What's that question? Can I explain more on group presentation? You said just now. Okay, this one, group presentation was in USM only. Another time, like USM interview, like, after all the stations were done, this was the last part of the interview. Okay, it's a group presentation. I think they put you in a group of 8 people and they'll give you like a topic. So the 8 of you have to sit down, discuss and come up with a presentation. Or I think it was a 10-minute presentation. 8 people, 10-minute presentation. Yeah, I think it was a 10-minute presentation lah. Okay, so they will give you time to discuss within your group. The group is basically other interviewees lah. Mata student lah interview ku porangla. Basically on that day you all will be put into a group for the presentation. Okay, a group of 8 and then or interviewer varuvaru. So he will give you the topic and then he will watch how you all discuss. So if you all went through MUET speaking செஞ்சிருக்கீங்க தானே, the speaking part. Okay, speaking part, I think first part you have to talk individually, correct? Second part is like a group discussion. So this group presentation is basically like a group discussion. Okay, they want to see how you interact with your group mates and also how well you carry out the discussion lah. Okay, so be careful not to be too dominant or too quiet, you know. So make it look like a very friendly discussion. And of course a useful discussion, because at the end of the discussion you all have to present to the interviewer whatever you all came up with lah. Okay, yeah, next question. Mr. Sivam, okay, do you understand? Any other questions, guys? Okay, Mr. Sivam. Any other questions? Anyone? Anything you all like to know?
Metric students, please use this opportunity. Okay.
Unless since you're a third year medical student, can you please say more about how our studies? Is it difficult or what is it about? Okay, so medicine actually நீங்க எங்க போனாலும் is the same only 5 years. Okay, any public university is the same. Actually private university also same lah. The structure is same only. Okay, so first 2 years they call it preclinical studies. Preclinical studies, it's basically going to be like a matriculation. Matrix வந்து நீங்க கூலியா போவீங்க, tutorial இருக்கும், lab இருக்கும், அதே மாதிரி தான் உங்க first 2 years. Okay, so you will be going for lectures, lab sessions and tutorials, things like this lah, first 2 years. Okay, third year onwards only you go to clinical studies. Can I advise on dressing code? Yeah, I'll come to that shortly. Okay, so third year onwards only you'll get into clinical studies lah. So clinical studies is where you actually have patient interaction lah. Okay, so every public university has its own hospital. Okay, so UM வந்து PPUM இருக்கு, பக்கத்துலேயே தான் எங்களோட ஹாஸ்டல் வந்து. If you come out from my hostel, the hospital is attached already, பக்கத்துலேயே hospital. So UM has PPUM, UKM has HUKM, USM has HUSM. So in the மாதிரி ஒவ்வொரு public university is attached to one hospital. Okay, so once you enter your clinical years, உங்களோட your main location of study will be the hospital lah. Okay, you'll start seeing patients, you'll learn from the patients. உங்களுக்கு ஒரு supervisor இருப்பாங்க, you'll go by rotations, posting போவீங்க. மெடிசன்ல pediatrics இருக்கு, medicine posting இருக்கு, surgery posting இருக்கு, psychiatry posting, emergency medicine, இந்த மாதிரி you'll rotate by postings, and each postings you will have like your supervisor or something lah. So they will take you to the ward. You'll see patients, you will interview patients, you talk to patients. Basically, you do doctor's jobs lah. Okay, in the future, that's what you'll be doing in your workplace. So now you're training to do that lah. Okay, so you learn how to talk with patients, ask the correct questions, do the correct physical exam, come up with a diagnosis, learn how to manage the patients, things like that lah. That's how third year is going to be like. That's how third year is going to be. I mean, clinical years is going to be like lah. So first 2 years is more to just theory lah. Matriculation எப்படி படிச்சீங்களோ அந்த மாதிரி தான், just study more. But of course you're studying medicine stuff lah, medical subjects and systems lah, bodyல இருக்கிற system, cardio system, respi system, neuro system இந்த மாதிரி. So you'll be studying about all that. So that's how the timeline is like lah. So first 2 years is going to be pre-clinicals. Third year, fourth year, fifth year is your clinical years lah. Okay. So once clinicals are over and you pass your final exam, you graduate lah, then you become a houseman. Difficulty wise, okay. This is my opinion. Medicine isn't really difficult in the sense that you don't really have to think that much. யோசிக்கிறதுக்கு அவ்வளவு இல்லை. Compared to engineering and all that, engineering they are actively doing problem solving. Subjects like calculus, mathematics and all this is like it requires you to think a lot and on the spot, come up with answers and stuff like that. But then medicine is more to information absorption. The more you study, the more you know lah. Okay, but the difficult part with this is that the volume is just too great. It's just too much to know. ரொம்ப இருக்கு படிக்க. So that's why many people find it difficult. Otherwise, it's nothing. You're just reading only. Okay, there's nothing like that you have to like solve or anything. You're not like thinking. Mathematically, வந்து ஒரு formula தெரிஞ்சானே அந்த formula பைக்க தெரியணும் தெரியுமா? அந்த மாதிரிலாம் இல்லை. Medicine is just information. You read about it, you know. If you don't read, you don't know. Okay, but why is it difficult? Because there's just too much to read. ரொம்ப இருக்கு cover பண்ண. That's why the course is 5 years long. It's not 4 years long. Okay, so that's the difficult part of medicine lah. It's too much volume. It's a lot to cover. If you're able to cover it, then medicine is going to be fine for you lah. Okay, there's nothing that difficult about medicine. It's just information absorption, and the tricky part is your social skills lah. Social skills very important for medicine students lah. Many people think academically excellent means okay, I can do medicine already. It's not like that lah. You need to be very sociable. Even if you're not a very sociable person, when it comes to clinicals, you really need to pick up on your social skills. You need to know how to talk with patients, empathize with patients. Don't just ask them questions like robots like that. You understand? And the interactive skills. Yeah, that's why they do interviews to assess you whether or not you're able to like talk to people, you see. So that's how medicine is lah. But படத்துல பார்க்குற மாதிரிலாம் இல்லை. You don't like study thick textbooks and all that, like lifeless. It's not like that. Everyone has a balanced life here. Okay, as long as you know how to prioritize lah. When it's time to study lah. Okay, so that's about medicine. Okay, advice on dressing code. So முதல்ல சொன்ன மாதிரி தான், if you're a guy, it's just like how you dress in matriculation. Formal lah, wear formal attire, wear slacks, leather shoe, and long sleeves lah, wear long sleeves. If you have a blazer, wear a blazer. If you don't have, it's okay. It's plus point lah எதுவுமே இல்லை. Okay, the main theme is formal lah, formal attire. Wear a tie போட்டுக்கோங்க. Okay, so try avoid dark colors. Just try wear light colors. Just look presentable lah. Okay, daadi எல்லாம் வச்சிருந்தீங்கன்னா it's better to shave off lah. Just look neat. Okay, look neat and clean. Okay, for female, yeah, another thing, நீட்டு முடி வச்சிருந்தீங்கன்னா please lah, don't. Doctors don't really like it lah if you have long hair. Even some students here like நீட்டு முடி வச்சிருப்பாங்க பையங்களாம், the doctors will always go them lah. நெகோலாம் ஒட்டிக்கோங்க. All these people will, the interviews, they might take note of all these things lah. Okay, so okay, if you're a girl, then again lah, same dress code as in matriculation. Just wear your formal wear lah. Okay, either wear formal or you're like baju kurung like that all lah. Okay, I won't advise to wear Punjabi suit. Better to wear formal lah. Better to wear formal or baju kurung like that. Okay, and then tie your hair lah if you're a girl. Okay, so that's on dressing code. So we'll third year onwards, the theory part will be lesser, is it, Anna? We will be spending most of time. Yeah, because first 2 years you already study everything. Theory எல்லாமே complete பண்ணிட்டீங்க. So third year onwards, it's the time for you to apply what you studied in your first 2 years lah. Okay. But of course, we are not computers lah. படிச்சது எல்லாமே அப்படியே இருக்காது. So obviously you have to study again when you come to clinical years. அங்கங்க மறுபடியும் படிக்கணும், touch up பண்ணணும், you know. And then, but third clinical year studying is more satisfying. ஏன்னா pre-clinicals வந்து நீங்க படிச்சுட்டு you won't really apply until exam. You just study, exam வந்தோடனே எல்லாமே vomit பண்ணிட்டு then you'll forget everything again. But then in clinical, you're applying it. If today you study something, tomorrow you go to the ward, you actually see it on a patient, and you know what you're dealing with. So it will give you a sense of satisfaction. So it really make you feel like learning is good lah. Okay, that's one good thing about clinicals lah. It's enjoyable lah, because you're applying what you learn. You feel a sense of achievement lah. Okay, yeah, you will be spending most of your time in hospitals. There won't be like, இப்போ ப்ரீ கிளினிக்கல்ல வந்து 4 நாள் கூலியானா ஒரு நாள் மட்டும்தான் வந்து கிளினிக்கல் விசிட்னு சொல்லிட்டு ஹாஸ்பிட்டல் போவீங்க டு லேர்ன் யோர் ஃபிசிக்கல் எக்ஸாம் ஸ்கில்ஸ் அண்ட் ஆல் தட். பட் இன் கிளினிக்கல் இயர்ஸ் எவ்ரி டே இஸ் ஹாஸ்பிட்டல் lah. So that can also be very luck based lah. If you get a nice supervisor, you don't have to like 24/7 be in the hospital lah. 8 to 5 வரைக்கும் ஹாஸ்பிட்டல் இருக்கணும் அந்த மாதிரிலாம் தேவையில்லை. Just go and then teaching இருக்கும். Teaching ஒரு 2 hours 3 hours இருக்கும் with your supervisor. After teaching finish, you're free to do what you want lah. Okay. Some doctors are very strict, old timers like that. They are very strict. They have ground rules. They will require you. They will ask you to be in the ward from 8 to 5 like that. They'll come and check whether you're in the ward or not. Things like that lah. But not all doctors are like that lah. Okay. You don't have to think about that now lah. இப்போ அதை பத்தி யோசிச்சு பயந்துட்டு இருக்காதீங்க. When you come to that time, you'll know how to deal with it lah. Okay, someone asked, this is not about interview, but I just wanted to ask whether someone who's having medical problems can become a doctor. Yeah, of course. You can definitely become a doctor lah, even though you have underlying medical problems, as long as it's under control and it's not affecting your daily life lah. Okay. Meaning to say that if you have a medical condition and then you're required to like admit into the hospital for like very long time, stuff like that, then it's going to affect your studies lah. No one said that you cannot become a doctor, but it's going to affect your studies lah. Because if you're going to spend a lot of time in the hospital for treatment, then you're going to miss out a lot on your studies. It's going to be difficult for yourself. But there's no rule saying that, oh, if you have this condition, you cannot become a doctor or anything like that. Okay. Does that answer your question? A bit peculiar, this question. Everyone here has some medical problems lah. Like myself, I got asthma, but it's under control lah. எப்பயாச்சும் வந்துச்சுன்னா I'll seek for treatment. Otherwise, there's no rule saying that, or because you have this disease, you cannot become a doctor or anything like that lah. Okay. Yeah, mine is, yeah, if it's under control, then nothing to worry about lah. Okay. Okay, that's fine. One say is fine. Unless you require like it's like a major problem and you need to admit for a few months, then you're going to have to take a gap year lah. Yeah, we do have students like that. Like என்னோட batchmate first year la, one of the students had a brain aneurysm. So that student had to take a gap year lah, because had to undergo major surgeries and hospitalization all. So then again, no one said she cannot become a doctor lah. She just had to take a gap year to get her problem solved. Yeah. Okay, any other questions? Yeah, no worries.
For the preparation part, can we jot down our ideas, or we have to think in our brain only?
I think, I mean, you're wearing formal, right? Carry a pen with you lah. Okay, there will be a paper there if I'm not mistaken. இருக்கும் அங்க மேசல் ஒரு paper இருக்கும். Okay, so because there's a paper, then I think you can write down lah your ideas. I can't really recall. ஏன்னா 4 years ஆச்சு, சரியா ஞாபகம் இல்லை பேப்பர் இருந்துச்சா இல்லையான்னு. But yeah, just train yourself lah. You don't really need paper actually. Organize your thoughts. But if there's a paper, of course, by all means, make use of it lah. Just like maybe you want to draw a mind map, or you don't even have to draw a mind map. Maybe just want to write down important words that can trigger your thought. then yeah, go ahead lah. You have your technique. I have my technique. So need to bring certificate or no need. Just bring whatever document that they ask for. Interview lah, I mean, and the interview offer lah, they told you right to bring. If they ask you to bring anything, just bring that lah. Probably they ask you to bring your interview slip. Make sure you bring that. Otherwise, certificate or no need to bring. It's not job interview. I understand what you're trying mean lah. Like படத்துல நான் பார்ப்போம் அந்த இன்டர்வியூக்குலாம் அவங்க they'll bring like their certificates of achievements and all that, right? Yeah. You bring also, they no point. They won't ask for it. They won't look at it. Not mistaken, they asked to bring the interview slip, and yeah, just bring that lah. Just bring the documents that they require. Yeah, otherwise you don't really need to bring your certificate or anything lah. நான் எடுத்து போனேன் மிந்தி because எனக்கு கைட் பண்ண யாரும் நான் எடுத்து போனேன், but yeah, they never asked for it. They didn't ask lah. So அப்படிதான் இருந்துச்சு ஃபைல், பாய்க்கவே இல்லை. Noted, thank you. Might still need to bring I'm not sure ma. என்ன சொல்லிருந்தாங்க in the interview slip? If I mean the interview offer, if they didn't ask for it, then don't have to bring lah. Probably just need your interview slip and IC lah, like what the girl said. Any other questions? They asked to download my Sajatra app, bring your IC into your slip. Yeah, okay, yeah, that's about it lah. Stationaries. Stationaries. I'm not sure why. Time. Yeah, going la. I think, did I bring my stationery? No lah. I mean, but again, the point, my time, it was just questions lah. 8 station, 8 questions. Stationery bike வேண்டிய situation வரல. Yeah. Can I know உங்களோட interview offerல வந்து did they talk about the format of the interview? Did they mention anything like MMI? Like, did they mention the word MMI or anything like that?
Yes, Anna.
They said MMI lah. So that's how it's going to be like lah. நம்ம சொன்ன மாதிரி தான். It's going to be multiple stations. So you go station by station. They mentioned MMI and 4 stations. 1 round only. Oh, 1 round only. Meaning 4 questions lah. Oh, lucky lah you all. I mean, it's going to be very fast and short lah. My time 2 rounds lah. 4 station தான். Meaning 4 interviewers. ஆனா 2 round lah. So each interviewer asks you 2 questions lah. Okay. While you all thinking about questions, right? Okay, I'd just like to share something to you all. Okay, so I'm not discouraging you all anything. Okay, but I'm just trying to prepare you all to be practical. Okay, so more than I mentioned பண்ண மாதிரி a lot of students will get the interview. My time, about 2,000 of us, all the races lah, about 2,000 of us did BMAT. Okay, after BMAT, UPU application, blah blah everything, I think about 600 were offered interview. Out of 2,600 students were offered interview. Okay, so out of the 600 students who were offered interview, only 180 were picked. My batch is considered a large batch. Before my batch, my seniors all, I think their batch will have like 130 students like that only. Another batch and 180 students இருந்தாங்க. So quite a lot. They increased the intake lah. Okay. And then, yeah, out of 600 interviewees, about 180 only were chosen lah. Okay. And then, now we talk about Indians lah. Okay. Now, 2,000 சொல்லிருந்தேன்ல, those who went for BMAT. Among the 2,000, I think about 200 were Indians. So about 10% lah. 10% were Indians, if I'm not mistaken. Out of 200, the ones that got offered interview, if I'm not mistaken, were about 90 people out of the 600. 90, yeah. Not 90. I think 50 something lah out of the 600. So it's less than 10% already now. And out of the 50 something, another batch, the Indians, 18 students only. Less than half of the 50 lah. Okay. So it's going to be really difficult lah. Okay. But here's what I want to tell you all, okay? Definitely sure UM isn't the only interview you all got. மற்ற யூனிவர்சிட்டிகிட்ட இருந்தும் இன்டர்வியூஸ் வந்திருக்கும், ஓகே? ஸோ எனக்கு யூஎம் தான் வேணும்னு சொல்லிட்டு யூஎம்க்கு மட்டும் ப்ரிப்பேர் பண்ணிட்டு மற்ற இன்டர்வியூலாம் ஃப்ளாப் பண்ணிடாதீங்க. கிவ் யுவர் பெஸ்ட் ஃபார் எவ்ரி இன்டர்வியூ, ஓகே? Doesn't matter what university it is, okay? If it's for medicine and you got the interview, just give your best. எல்லா இன்டர்வியூவும் give your best.